Okay guys, so I don't know if this is actually legal or not, but I'm going to be filming me uh checking out this like sculpting in Blender guide. Um I've already started a little bit. All right. I looked up at whether it was legal or not, but I couldn't really find anything.
Now we can
So,
start editing the shape. You've got brush settings down the side here, and you've also got those options up the top here as well. But it is much better to have your hand over the keyboard. The Shift key and the Control key are the
all right. So I need to find out where the symmetry thing is. Going to sculpting. This isn't symmetry. Where's the symmetry? Oh, down here.
keys you'll be using. It has got to the X-axis going across this way. The X, it's a really good idea to turn on symmetry at the top here. So symmetry in the X.
Enable mesh symmetry in the X-axis. Hmm. I don't know if that was the right thing to do, but I just did that.
X, that's why it's important that we're looking at it in terms of the X-axis going across this way. And now we can start editing the shape. You've got brush settings down the side here, and you've also got those options up the top here as well. But it is much better to have your hand over the keyboard. The Shift key and the Control key are the keys you'll be using all the time. So F is to resize your brush, and I can press F, move my cursor side to side, and resize my brush easily. Shift F is to change the strength, but we don't need to worry too much about that at the moment. So I'll press Escape on that, and for most brushes, the default strength will be absolutely fine. So let's start sculpting. We're going to create a caricature face, and I'll come to the bottom of my sphere here, click and drag, and pull that downwards like this. So I've created a shape like that, and from side view, if I click on this X here, that's what it looks like. Now it's pointing forwards a little bit. Maybe I'll bring in the face like this so he's got a funny pointed chin. We've got something looking a bit like this.
You call that a face? Hmm. What's his size
I'll press 1 on my
brush?
numpad to go to front view, or you
Okay, that is a large size brush. No? Oh my gosh! What is that? No. That looks awful. Wait a minute. Why is his so good? About that big. Yeah. And you just pull it down. And it looks like that. Why? What? I don't understand this. Why is his so smooth? I think I got it. Those are butt cheeks. I just want to pull the piece that I'm pulling out, not those two humps as well. Why? Why? It wants to pull out everything, not... Got the grab tool. Got the strength 400. Oh, right. I gotta get,
We've got something looking a bit like this.
head on. Pull it down. I guess that's good.
Yes. I'll press 1 on my numpad to go to front view, or you can press on the -Y just here, and I'll bring the shape of the head in a little bit like this. So it slopes down a tiny bit.
Oh, negative Y. There we go.
A little bit closer in at the front than at the back. Let's
Can't push it in, I can just rub it around. It's a bird.
So it slopes down a tiny bit, a little bit closer in at the front than at the back. That's just how heads are, and we've got a really basic starting point. So I'll come back to side view so you can see what that looks like, and you might want to pause the video here and catch up with me.
Premium. I don't like paying for stuff.
Now you might start to see these polygons stretching slightly. We'll exaggerate that effect by pulling out the neck here. So come around to the bottom. You can see I've got those two yellow dots, and that's the symmetry. So when they're nice and close together, we know that that's the middle point. And I can get them fairly close here, click and drag, and pull down a neck like this. And if I just
I don't have the yellow dots. It's beautiful. But why is that coming out? Seems pretty good to me. I'm gonna pull it down a little to connect it, but it's not really working. Actually, it looks pretty good to me.
Just zoom around, you can see what that looks like. I could only pull it so far, so I'll pull it a bit again, and move around my object and pull it again and again like this. So you have to move around your object a fair bit with the grab.
That actually looks pretty good to me. Oh, not from over there. I don't like the sharpness over there, but you can clearly see the face, right? Maybe smash the skull in a little bit. You know what? I don't mind it being perfectly round. Looks pretty good to me. He's been smashed by a car. Problem is that faces aren't perfect. But that's just not good. Alright, whatever.
Grab brush to pull it in all the different directions. And we can see that this is very stretched. Now, if you're seeing it even more stretched than I am, then you probably didn't have as many polygons in your icosphere to start with. Don't worry, we'll be able to sort that out in a moment. If you're seeing less stretched than I am, then you probably went up a little bit higher. But we can change the amount of polygons we see and stop this stretching by using the remesh options. The remesh is up the top here, and you can see in this drop-down menu here. You can also find that in your brush settings if I middle mouse button.
Okay, this is a newer one. Oh, there's remesh.
And come down to remesh here. They're exactly the same as up here. The main thing you need to remember here is the voxel size and the actual remesh button. Now the voxel size is the size we're going to make the polygons. And we can easily see that by pressing R on our keyboard. And this is the size that it's going to make the polygons based on the shape we've already made. At about 0.08 looks good. So I'll left click there. And to actually press the remesh button.
What does dentopo mean? What does dentopo mean? I'm not seeing any difference over there. What is dentopo?
The shortcut key is Control R. And you can see it's remeshed it and taken away a bit.
Oh, wait, shortcut key. I don't mind that. Sorry. I just...
bit of this stretch. Now it still looks a little bit lumpy, so I'll probably go a little bit lower with my number. So I'll press R again, go a little bit lower to 0.07. It can be fairly rough, it doesn't have to be bang on. And Control R, and that's about right.
Oh, that works. So just hold it down and then push down. Eh. Whatever, we'll fix that later.
For the amount of detail we need at the moment. Now, one thing that may help you, if I go up to the overlays here, click on this drop down and turn on statistics, you can see the amount of faces you have in your scene.
I'm not seeing statistics. There is no statistics. Where is statistics? It's supposed to be in here. Oh.
Now, I've got a fairly powerful machine and I can comfortably go above 3 million faces using this technique. For older machines, you want to keep it down to probably around 500,000 at the most. But you'll find out as you go along, and if your workspace starts to lag a bit, then you might want to change your remesh voxel size so it's just a little bit higher. So now's a good time to catch up with me creating the neck and remeshing your shape.
Alright, well, let me remesh. Symmetrize, maybe? Doesn't look very symmetrized. Doesn't look changed at all, but...
Okay, so let's start sculpting a little bit more. So I'll bring out a nose at the front. I'll make my brush a bit smaller. So F to resize the brush. Put the points into the middle there so they're together, and click and drag outwards. Now that didn't really work for me, so I'll undo that, come further around to the side and make my brush a little bit bigger. Again, points close together, click and drag outwards. That's a bit better.
Okay, so now we're making a nose, so I want to zoom in. Get right up close to it. There's nothing in his brain. There's nothing in there. Could have suspected that. Okay, so as it is, I can only push up and down. So... Ah, he came at it from the side. Nope. No. 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 Yes. No. 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 I mean, his eyes are a little close to his nose. There we go. Thinking his eyes are like right here and right here. So his nose would be like right there. Alright,
And I'll pull outwards a little bit here and maybe a little bit further with the nose and point it upwards like
that is a large nose. Mm-hmm. A big gaping mouth. Oh yeah. Maybe try to pull that up a little bit. I don't like how much it stretches down there. But it's not gonna stop, I don't think. Gosh darn it, I had it great. I don't know, I like that nose. Alright, that's good enough.
Like this. And we've got a funny shaped nose there. I can come around to the front and start pulling this area in, and we're slowly starting to get an area for the eye sockets, and maybe pull this area in as well.
Alright. You know, I think I already did that.
Okay, so there's the start of my nose. In fact, I'll just take the bridge of the nose in a little bit there, and that looks a little bit better. And once we've got this point, we see a bit of stretching, so we can press Ctrl R to create that remesh again.
You can help save a baby's life for just $1 a day. Saving Moses has helped the world's most vulnerable where the help is least.
And we can see a little bit of blockiness there, so perhaps I'll press R again, bring my voxel size down to this time 0.06, and press Ctrl R to remesh. And that's a little bit better, and I think that will help us and give us just that little bit more detail. Now you might be thinking, why am I not just putting it up and going really detailed because my computer can handle it? What's the problem? Well, the general rule is keep as low detail as possible for as long as possible. The reason being, if I come around to the neck just here and I hold down Shift and draw over the neck, you can see it's smoothing it out, and it's doing a nice job of smoothing it out. I can go to other areas, hold down Shift. Holding down Shift takes you to the smooth brush, but it's just a quick way of doing it. So hold down Shift and I can smooth out that area there, for example. What the smooth brush does, it takes your polygons and kind of evens them out. If I have lots and lots of fine polygons, it makes a big difference to the smooth brush and how much of the shape it moves around. And in the early stages, you want your smooth brush to be quite influential. So you keep the polygons nice and big to start with and the detail as low as possible. And then as we go along, we don't need the smooth brush to move the shape as much, so we can up the detail a bit more. Okay, so you might want to pause the video here and catch up with me creating the nose, and just have a little go using the smooth brush, which is holding down Shift. So hopefully you got an okay with that. Now I'm going to start refining the shape, still using the grab brush. So I'll come around to the side here and pull in an eye in this sort of direction. Bring this area back a little bit as well. Cheekbones up just a touch. I'll zoom out a bit.
Hold on, let's see. Alright.
And I'll change the forehead, make my brush nice and big, and maybe give him a funny sort of shaped head at the back here. Bring this area in, and we're starting to get a reasonable looking shape. I think I'd like the mouth area to come in a bit more and the chin to be more sort of curvy like this. And you can just have lots of fun creating a shape yourself. For the eyes, I'm going to zoom in a bit and just create an area for a sphere to go in. So I'll create a nice rounded
I'm just trying to build a little area for the eye socket right now. Perfect. Right. Just building a little area for the socket. Alright, looks pretty good. Try to smooth out it a little bit. And perfect.
eye socket around here. Bring the middle back a bit, not the outside here.
Alright.
Or the nose. So just so it's rounded out like this, and perhaps bring them together a bit. We've got this sort of eye socket shape. Now I've made some changes.
Alright.
Control R to do the remesh. So we've got a nice even detail across the mesh. And that's starting to look fairly good. So once again, you might want to pause the video and have a go at setting up a shape that's caricature.
Step into Wix Studio, the platform for agencies and enterprises. Kick off projects.
Even further, then you should try out my sculpting bundle. You get 3 top-selling courses at the incredibly low price of $29 to Dragons and Beast and Run. So why not give it a brush this time? With the draw brush, I'll bring that size down a bit by pressing F a little bit further and just draw in a round shape for the ears like this. Nice simple way to do some ears. So I've gone about that far and
Draw. Bring in the ears. Nice big ears.
then I'll draw out a little bit further at the back of the ears and then
Get the of the ears, get the front of the ears, get the middle of the ears, get down here. Okay, just get a little bit out. Draw back here. Alright.
Smooth out the front. So hold down Shift, smooth out the front. I kind of got some ears there just by using the draw brush.
Alright, I don't think I'm gonna do ears.
Give it a little bit more bulk at the looking too bad. Use the reverse and really nice simple ears rather than pull outwards. Let's check out that much. A little area for the mouth just there. Just a little shape for the moment.
Alright, whoops. Get a little area for the mouth. There we go. I don't think the... Oh, I found the problem, guys. Gotta make it smaller. Hmm. Okay. There we go. Let me pull that a little more out. There we go. And little area for the mouth. You know what? I'm not going for the mouth
About
either.
that much. Ready for adding more detail. So now's a good time to pause the video and catch up with me, creating your ears and the small area for the lips.
You know what? I'm gonna make the lips. I'm just gonna shorten that out.
Okay, now we're going to start adding more detail, but before we do that, let's bring in some eyeballs. Now you can do this in sculpt mode because we can change the mode of this object to object mode here and then add some eyeballs that way. The problem is we have to set up being able to see our 3D cursor and it's just a little bit awkward. So I'm going to change back to sculpt mode whilst in the sculpting workspace. That's just up here. And to add the spheres, I'm going to go across to layout mode. And you can see my 3D cursor in the middle there. That's particularly helpful. To move the 3D cursor, I move my mouse over an area and press shift right click. So I want to move it to this area.
Alright, so go to layout, go to shift right click.
Where I want my sphere to go, and that's why I set up button 2 on my pen as right click. I can go to my add menu, so shift A is the shortcut for that, or add menu, mesh, and then this time we'll use a UV sphere for the eyes. I'll scale that down, probably somewhere around here. We'll have.
Alright, go ahead and how do I scale it? Oh, with the scale tool probably. Scale that. Are you saying it doesn't scale like that? Okay. Alright.
Fairly small eyes, maybe a tiny bit smaller, something like that. It's a good idea to check it in side view. So 3 to go to side view, that's on your numpad. And then 1 to go to front view. Might be a little bit close in, somewhere around there. Okay, so I'm going to zoom into the eye. Now you can
Alright, side view. Front view.
see the shape of the polygons kind of go to a point up here. And it's a good idea to have that at the front because it just looks a little bit like a pupil. You don't have to do this, but I like to press R, then X and 90 to rotate it around the x-axis 90 degrees and press enter.
R, X, 90. R, R, X, 90. Yep, looks good.
And it just looks a little bit more like an eyeball, and it makes it a bit easier for setting up my eyelids. Let's just go to side view and make sure we've got it roughly in the right place. And a little bit of space, maybe half the eyeball's distance towards the bridge of the nose there. And that's probably around.
Okay, so... Alright.
The correct position. It doesn't matter a great deal because this is a caricature and we can make them look silly. So we're ready to start sculpting our head again. But before we go back to the sculpting workspace, make sure you select the head first and then go back to the sculpting workspace. That way I'm ready to sculpt on the head. I'll just undo that with Ctrl Z. If for any reason you went back to sculpt mode with the eyes selected, you can change which object you're sculpting by moving your mouse over the object and pressing Alt Q. Can you see how it flashes red to say well, that's what's selected and that's what you'll be sculpting? So I'll press Alt Q over my head, and it might be a good idea to label these objects as well, just so it's clear what I've got selected. We can do that in the outliner. I'll just extend that out slightly, and I can double click on the icosphere and call that head. And there's the sphere, and you can see
Head. Okay, should I say right eye as in it's the eye on the right when I'm facing him, or it's his right eye? I'm gonna say eye on the right when I'm facing him. Come on. Alright.
see I've now selected that, and you can see it there, and I'll double click on that and call it eye. Notice it's highlighted red because it's not actually the active object. You can't jump between objects in the outliner when you're in sculpt mode, only in object mode.
Okay,
so just so there's no confusion, I'll click back to the head and you can see that's yellow, but just make sure you've got it highlighted here so you know that you're sculpting on that. And if in any doubt, remember you've got Alt Q to jump back to the head model. So pause the video here and add in the eyes.
Join large-scale battles with military vehicles. The online action game War Thunder has received a major update, Direct Hit. Joining the battle are machines like the...
Okay, so we need to up the detail to put in some eyelids and to add some detail to things like the mouth. So press R and let's go down a bit further now. So 0.03 I would say, somewhere around there, and Control R, see what that looks like, and let's test it out. Now for the moment, I've not got an eyeball the other side. That's okay. We'll just start drawing the eyelid out with the draw brush, and I'll pull it out like this. So I'll just keep drawing until I've got some sort of eyelid. Now it's a bit
don't like the red line. Now I've got to like pull the red line all the way out before drawing. Messes me up. Alright.
A bit all over the place at the moment, but so using the at the bottom here, so just keep drawing to pull out an eyelid.
Why is it called an eyelid when it doesn't lid the eye? I think the top part should be called the eyelid because, like, lids go on top. You know what I mean? Like, it's the eyebrow, the eyelid. Should be the other way around. This can be the eyebrow. Also, why we could have, like, invented any word and somebody chose brow.
This is the nice, easy way to do it. Looks a bit strange. Control R, remesh, hold down Shift, and smooth that out. And we've got really basic eyelids, but we've got no eyeball the other side. We can fix that, but I just wanted to show you what that looks like. So this is what our sculpt ends up looking. We've got the eyelids kind of sticking out from the mesh, and we've got a gap for the eyeball like that. What we need to do is copy this eyeball to the other side. So let's quickly go back to layout mode. We're at 2 inches. Now it looks there are highlighted head balls. Sculpting workspace anyway. Q to the other point. We want to up that a little bit. But before we up the detail, perhaps we can just start adding a nostril in here. A little bit of shape around there. Something like this.
Oh, yeah. Let me pull the grab tool and push that back in a little bit. All right. Turn like right there. Why does that side have more? There we go. That looks good.
And maybe back to the grab brush and resize and just change the shape of things a little. They can possibly go in a little bit here, make him a little bit more sort of gaunt, and perhaps a little bit more bulk around here. I think actually I'll go this way, and that looks kind of fun. And you can just start playing with the shape a little bit like this. It's looking okay at the moment, I would say. Maybe need a little bit more.
Alright, I think I'm going to end that there. If you guys are interested in sculpting, this is the guy that I used. I think it's legal to do this. I honestly don't know. I will take it off of YouTube if it's not legal. YouTube people, I'm sorry if this isn't legal, but I'll see you guys in the next video.